This is Jane, and like many of us, she is doing her best to juggle her career and personal life while still trying to feel motivated amidst all the day-to-day pressures she faces. Jane has her own dreams and desires. She has ambitions to advance and reach her goals, but is under enormous pressure from having too many deadlines at work and not enough hours in the day. And she still needs to find the energy to be a caring mother and wife. Wouldn't you feel frustrated with so many obstacles in your way, stopping you from becoming the best version of yourself? Jane's world feels like it's collapsing around her. She's losing her temper more frequently, experiencing mood swings, feels frustrated, unheard, unseen, and is just not coping with the smallest of tasks. Her overall well-being is at an all-time low. We all have a little Jane in us. When we are experiencing stress, finding solutions to what may seem like the most simple problem can feel overwhelming. And why? Because our brains are unable to function properly when we are not at our mental best. Our brain controls everything we do and requires a great deal of energy to operate, particularly when we have to concentrate. Converting intentions into actions is not easy. Change isn't easy because the brain makes it difficult. The brain mainly recognizes two things: fear or pleasure. Any big change in behavior generates fear. This is often reflected with stress or procrastination. Anything that requires effort can be a challenge for most of us. But what if we can trick the brain and create effortless routines or habits so that we can make a new behavior automatic without thinking, a bit like driving a car? The good news is that we can retrain our brains to override unhelpful impulses and overcome fear and biases. When a person needs to create a new behavior, there are three things that need to be considered. Firstly, how much effort is needed to achieve a new behavior? Secondly, motivation levels. Motivation can be volatile and it is required for change, but it is not that important if we make the changes easy for ourselves. And thirdly, creating reminders to trigger us to do the new behavior. Think about going to the gym and how many people drop it after a couple of sessions. But if you design a process where you depend less on motivation and more on how the brain processes change, this can lead you to real sustainable transformation. The brain doesn't like big adjustments and starts flipping out and producing stress molecules if the change is too big or too fast. So small changes are the way to trick the brain. We start by taking baby steps. One of the first things Jane did was reassess her life views. She began by removing negative thoughts and reframing her mindset. We can't assume that our mind is going to just do this automatically, and it is very easy to tilt back to the negatives, but this is something Jane was able to counteract with practice. Remember that change is not about intensity, but about consistency. She began by spending a few minutes each day thinking about the things she was grateful for. Doing this regularly helped it become a habit, allowing for any negative bias to change over time. Jane started making better choices and prioritizing, both in her professional and personal life. She realized that she couldn't continue saying yes to everything people asked of her. This helped her set healthy boundaries, affording her the time she needed to focus on herself. She began exercising, starting with just 5 minutes a day, increasing incrementally to now 30 minutes a day. This helped her adopt healthier eating habits, which has had a profoundly positive impact on her physical and mental health. It helped relieve a lot of her anxiety and stress. Jane noticed that her memory had improved and that she was able to sleep better, which, as we know, plays a big role in building resilience. When people do micro actions, they don't have to rely on effort. That affects your motivation. Remember, consistency beats intensity. Intentions are not actions. Losing weight is an intention. The action would be removing the junk food from your fridge. Actions become habits. So start tracking them to realize how far you have come. Habits become our way of life. Start designing the life you're dreaming of. However big or small your needs are, it's important to remember that well-being is a journey, not a destination. So how will you begin yours?